All right, here we go. I have no idea what I'm doing, but everybody keeps telling me just to start. So here we go. My name is Scotty George. I live here in Utah. I'm a pinstriper, automotive painter, and on Instagram I am Stripes by Scotty. I go to local car shows. That's what people call me. That's kind of how they know me. Which is kind of something I started referring to what I do as and ran with it, and it's like I said, it's kind of become a little bit of my identity, how people know me. But I've had a feeling for a while that I just need to, I don't know if it's for my kids, for my family, or for somebody out there trying to get into this, but I keep having a feeling like I need to just do some small videos and talk about how I got into this. Whether that helps somebody else get started down the road, I have no idea, but we're going to give this a whirl and see what happens. So maybe 20, 30 minutes ago, I made a post about going to the Rat Fink reunion over this past week. And while I was there, an older gentleman who's become a friend of mine has been collecting oil cans, vintage porcelain signs that go with gas stations, all that kind of stuff. Has an amazing collection, and I went and saw it a few weeks ago, and he kind of found out that I've been working on collecting for a while, and you can see kind of through the top of my garage some old oil cans, some like little repop signs and stuff that, you know, the oil cans are real, but the signs are repop. They just kind of look cool in the garage because I just love like the history of the industry and everything. So he found out that I was getting into it, or have been, and you know my collection's a lot smaller than his, but he brought me a package, and he just kind of said, hey, you know, like I just got here to the show, you know, I'm gonna come find you, and then I've got something for you. So he walked me out to his car, and he had this box, and he said, I've got a little something for you to kind of help add to your collection, you know, some oil cans that I know you don't have, some signs, you know, that aren't anything special, but they'll go cool with the stuff that you've already got going in your garage. And so that's kind of, that post kind of is what has given me the idea on getting started tonight. Was there are so many people that are just a wealth of knowledge and experience in this industry, whether that's in collecting, working hands-on on cars, fabricating, you know, just painting, all these different things. And there are so many of them who are just so willing to share that knowledge with people, to share that experience that they have with people to get them started. And at the same time, there's a lot of people that won't tell you a word. They see you as competition. They don't want to share their secrets or their tricks of the trade with you because they see you as a threat to their business or their opportunities. You know, like you're going to take business from them, or you might take their customers, or things like that. But there are so many people out there, and there's so many people looking to have work done. Like there's room for everybody if you're good at what you do. And so with that, just kind of looking at the generosity of this friend, you know, hey, here's some oil cans I know you don't have. And you know, I'm a young father, sole income in our house right now, and where some of these I was collecting at swap meets and stuff while I was in college, there's not necessarily all this like extra money to go around right now while I'm buying diapers and groceries and paying the bills to keep going out and buying some of these cans, because a lot of the ones I have start out at like $5-10, and then you look at some of these online auctions and high collectible ones, you know, they get into tens of thousands of dollars for a 1 quart oil can. So it's just kind of, you get to a point where now it's like, oh, well, I want that one, but I can't spend 75 or $100 on a can right now. So the point of this is there's people out there that see the up and coming generation, and they want to see what they love and care about continue. And for that reason, rather than being tight-lipped and keeping their secrets, or, you know, charging outrageous prices, or, you know, full sticker price for things they have, they find ways to help the next generation get started. They take somebody on as an apprentice. They share some collectibles with somebody that they know is going to love and cherish them, put them up in their garage, and see them when they go out to work on stuff. So that's kind of the mentality and what I'm doing with this, I guess. Want to share some ideas of and stories from how I got started in pinstriping, how that led to me moving on to the the body and paint side of the automotive industry from the mechanical side, how that's kind of turned to supplement pinstriping and they've worked together for the different things I do. And maybe there's some ideas or some similarities with how I got started that are going to help somebody else out there get started, because even though I'm not like a totally seasoned veteran in today's world with technology and stuff, there might be some things that you find more relatable to me, 34 years old, as opposed to somebody who's on the end of retiring that maybe didn't grow up with social media or the internet, different things like that. So just real brief tonight to kind of get started on that. So I graduated high school in 2009, and I didn't really take any auto body classes or anything, or any auto mechanics classes in high school, because I was busy trying to do other things and being in bands and playing guitar and just had other focuses. But I did have a scoutmaster who gave us the opportunity as teenagers to go down to his shop and learn some basic mechanical things. And then that turned into, over the summers, taking the trash out, sweeping the floors, learning to do oil changes. And then when I was old enough to buy my truck, a 68 Ford F100, he let me take it down there. He helped me kind of get it roadworthy, showed me what I needed to buy, and I was just appalled that I'd just paid like $500 for this truck, and immediately we were spending more than that on just parts to get it on the road. I was like, wait a minute. But he helped teach me those things, kind of helped get me started. And then as I got out of high school, I started looking for some other opportunities to learn more about cars, which was funny because kind of from that experience, pushing that broom, taking that trash out, I kind of thought, I don't know that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I kind of want to maybe keep studying in school and go on to do engineering or something. And I just had zero desire to do homework. I had zero desire to apply myself at things for school when I could go home and work on my truck, or I could go home and play guitar with friends or be in a band. It was just teenager priorities. But the summer I graduated, my friend Dustin that I bought my truck from, he and I were out and about cruising one night, and we came across this, I don't know if it was a 54 or a 55, but it was an F100. It was lime green, it was chopped, and it had bright purple metallic wheels with white walls. And on the nose, on the grill, there was these kind of squiggly lines. And you looked inside, and there was these same kind of squiggly, jagged lines on the dashboard. And then it was on the tailgate, and we were kind of like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I, at this point, just out of high school, had my truck running, and he'd picked up an old unibody Ford because he'd been out of a truck for a few years. And we kind of thought, we need that on our trucks. I was like, I don't know what it is, but that'd be cool to have on our trucks. And one of my best friends from junior high was moving out to California that summer after graduation to go find somebody to apprentice pinstriping and sign painting. And when he got back that winter and he hadn't really found anybody, he's like, yeah, I learned some stuff, but I don't really feel comfortable doing it on your truck. I don't want to screw it up. I was kind of like, well, I have this paint, that was made to match my truck. Can't you use that? And he's like, no, it's got to be special paint. There's certain brushes. I was just kind of like, well, I want that. He's not going to do it. He told me he doesn't feel comfortable doing it. And I was like, well, I don't know anybody who does it, so maybe I'll look into it. So I went to Autorama that spring in 2010, and in the middle of Autorama, there's this big roped off area, and there's easels in the middle, and there's a handful of people in there that have these weird brushes with hair on them, and I don't even know how to describe what my first impression of it was, but it looked like like, I don't know, almost even like a spaghetti noodle, but it was loaded with just color. And they had these little like panels, and they're doing these designs on them. And I was like, huh. Took some art classes in high school. Kind of came up in the generation of mixed CDs and always drawing different covers on them. So did a little bit of art. Kind of thought, well, maybe I'll try my hand at that. So after graduating high school, I had to wait till I was 18 for insurance reasons, but my dad's mechanic hired me as like an apprentice, and kind of took me under his wing. It was kind of a situation where he's like, well, you know, I've got a son who wants to have a cool truck, but he doesn't really want to put in the time right now. And it's like, but you want to learn, and your dad doesn't know what I know, so what if, you know, you be like my adopted shop son kind of situation. I was like, sure, let's do it. I was willing to spend some money on parts to learn and work on my truck, and he was willing to provide the knowledge and experience if I would do that. And then that just kind of spiraled into what is now my career. So that next spring after Autorama, I kind of told him I'd seen this at the car show, and I was like, Joe, I've seen this, like, I'm interested in getting into it. And he says, oh, back in the 70s, 80s, I used to run around with some guys that did that, you know, and they were amazing, and just, it was crazy what they could do without even looking from side to side of the car. And just like I'd said, the brush kind of looked like a noodle or something. He's like, we used to call them noodle men because the designs would look like noodles. And I was like, it's kind of interesting. But so the guy that owned the body shop around the corner came in one day, and his brother had been one of those pinstripers in the local Utah area back in the 70s, Dave Hogan. So Kim came in one day, and Kim still had a body shop around the corner, and I approached him and I said, hey, I've seen this, I've been looking at it online. There wasn't really any Facebook groups back then. I don't think groups were a thing yet. But there was websites that had stuff on them, and I'd seen people doing it, and I asked him just where can I get some brushes, where can I get some paint so I can get started. And he said, you know, you can go down to this auto body supply store, 39th South, Salt Lake Auto Color. He says, you know, they'll have brushes, they'll have paint, you know, just buy a can or two of paint, you know, they're just small, it'll last you a long time. And then he says, and you want a MAC 00 brush. So I went in there and bought 2 cans of paint and a brush or two from the people there, and kind of asked them, I was like, okay, now what? Like, what do I need to put in the brushes? And they're like, oh, mineral oil. And went home, watched a couple YouTube videos on how to hold the brush, and just kind of started sketching designs and going from there, looking at stuff online, looking at cars at car shows, taking pictures of stuff I saw at car shows. Started buying car magazines, which is kind of not really a thing anymore, but those old school rods, Car Culture Deluxe, a couple other ones at the time that just had all sorts of just different pinstriping and rockabilly events covered in them that suddenly were all these ideas. So that was really kind of it. I just saw it, was interested by it, wanted it on my own vehicle. My friend wanted it on his vehicle, and didn't know anybody that did it, so decided that I'd try my hand at it. And that's kind of where we started. Those first 2 cans of One Shot that I bought were colors that were going to match my truck. I think I bought peacock blue and polar white. I still have on my shelf here in the garage one of those first cans, just for sentimental value, for memory. And yeah, so I did that for the next few months, and really it started because, like I said, this truck right here that kind of got at home, starting to work on. So yeah, where I've been trying to start up some posts about Marauder Monday, Mercury Marauder M100. It's my personal never-ending project that keeps getting pushed aside to be able to work on other people's stuff. That was kind of where it started. Those were some of the first things I did, and as I jump in here and start doing my next couple of videos, I still have my first couple panels. I'll pull out, show you. Because yeah, early on it was trying to do things on that truck: air cleaner, valve covers, dashboard, emblems, just all sorts of stuff like that. And then that kind of spiraled into friends' cars and whatnot. So we're kind of trying to get back on posting progress of Project Marauder M100. That is not done, but you've seen this artwork my friend Mike Elmer did. Kind of gives me a little more vision and determination to keep working towards that. That is the goal. But that's kind of where the pinstriping started. That's where it came from. That's where the drive to learn and work towards something came from. So that's just kind of a little intro for tonight, and start thinking about some more things to share as far as how I got started on that. But if you have questions, if you got other things you want to ask, there's a handful of other people out there that are already doing like how-to videos and product reviews. I don't really want to copy that because other people are already doing that. But if you got questions about just different things or resources or how to get started or whatever, feel free to reach out. Ask some of those questions and maybe I'll be able to answer them in some of these videos. I don't know how frequently I'm going to be posting these, but I'd like to do at least 1 or 2 a month, and we'll go from there. Some of these updates will be focused on pinstriping. Some of them might be more on the truck. Some of them might be how pinstriping led to painting full-time, just different things. Like I said, I don't totally know why I feel the need to do this right now, but if it helps somebody else find their career path, like others have helped me get to where I am, then I'll chalk that up as a win for the time to sit in front of this camera and make a fool of myself or try to help others in some way. So anyway, that's it for tonight. Scotty George, like I said, thanks for following.